We don't know if we wake up tomorrow. It is like this. Yeah, but our plans go. We have 5 years plans, 10 years plans. We have short-term, mid-term plans. Yeah, the truth is we don't know if we wake up tomorrow. So, of course, I don't want to make it like it sound negative. So just live in the present moment without planning. This is not what I'm saying. This is the challenge nowadays. How do you balance out vision with reality? Real, the only thing real right now is this. That's real for us. I can feel it, you can hear it, you can sense it. This is real.
It's going to happen like that. And who is your future self? 1 year from now, who is it? Another day will go by. 365 of them happen so fucking fast. Who are you going to be in a year from now? And in a year from now, does that future person hold regret or pride?
And try this today. It's a very powerful exercise. It sounds a little bit corny, but it's a very powerful exercise. Starting off every day and saying to himself, I believe something wonderful is going to happen to me today. I believe something wonderful is going to happen to me today. I believe something wonderful is going to happen to me today. That this little exercise changed his whole attitude. That he went through the whole day with the attitude of somebody with a confident self-expectancy. That everything that happened during the course of the day, he thought, maybe this is something wonderful that's going to happen to me.
The only reason why you're not living the life that you actually want to live is because you keep on feeding the life that you don't want to live. It's really simple, but I will say that again. The only reason why you're not living the life that you actually want to live is because you, day by day, keep on feeding the life that you don't want to live.
Look at yourself and ask yourself, what is the most disturbing, whatever it is, from the last week in your life? What is disturbing you about your life the most from the last week? What is it? Which emotional state is it that followed you primarily in the last 1 month? Is it somebody who triggers it? Is it something that triggers it? So really boil it down to the point that you actually see, this is what blocks me right now in my life. This is literally what blocks me in my life. I want to move into the future, but this here, it follows me, it blocks me, it takes my energy. It's this one. I can literally see it. No, that is the one. Now, invest all of the energy to figure out the solution for this one.
Why am I procrastinating?
It has to do with lack of motivation. Nobody is born with a developed brain. The motivation circuits have to develop. They run on a chemical called dopamine. Mm-hmm. Dopamine is essential for a sense of vitality, for curiosity, for seeking.
Yes.
And when you put under high pressure, there's high dopamine levels.
Yeah.
And then you get really motivated.
Right.
So you're waiting for that dopamine hit before you get down to doing what you need to do. It's a matter of how environment shapes brain physiology.
Now, just to have some polite pushback, do I really have ADD or do I have a childlike sense of wonder?
Why is there a contradiction? People with ADHD tend to be more playful, more curious.
Yes.
In some ways more emotionally alive, and they tend to become comedians. Just about every comedian I've ever met, I could diagnose within a split second with ADHD. Because you got this brain that jumps all over the place,
right?
Which is the essence of comedy. The unhealed wounds, you may think you've gone past them, but then something will happen that touches that wound, and you react like you're being tormented all over again for the first time, until you do some work to heal. Time by itself does not heal, not spontaneously, not automatically.
When you're an emotionally intelligent person, you can't really hate someone because you know why they are the way that they are. Most people see an adult, but you realize that you're just looking at a wounded child that never really healed that's in an adult's body. And when you see this, you stop taking everything so personally. You understand that people project their pain, their trauma, and their fears onto others. Hurt people hurt people. It doesn't excuse their behavior, but it does explain it. And you can take a step back and let people have their own experiences at that point and not get all wrapped up in it. And then you don't let their brokenness break you.
One of the fastest ways to get good at just enjoying the moment is to be so self-forgiving that it's almost delusional. It's the best advice that I could give somebody.
What does that mean in reality? Give me an example.
Most people look back with regret and shame. I shouldn't have done that, or I should have done that. Get so forgiving of everything that you've ever done of yourself that it is like delusional to the point where it's just crazy. And you're thinking, I shouldn't forgive myself of that. You get to a point where everything is fine and it's just hilarious. If you get to that point, your ability to stay in the present and not stuck in the past will 10x overnight.
How important is it to forgive?
I think it's really one of the fundamental things that keep us alive. I mean, forgiveness to me is just overcoming the emotion. That's it. And like if you overcome the emotion, the side effect is that your heart will open. That's exactly what happens. And when energy moves into the heart, we start releasing different chemicals. When we feel angry, or we feel victimized, or when we feel sexual, it's just a different chemical elixir. And oxytocin is released, and oxytocin signals nitric oxide. Nitric oxide signals another chemical that causes the arteries in your heart to literally dilate. The heart gets filled with energy, it's engorged with blood. When that occurs, the oxytocin levels that you're feeling, the love that you're feeling, the studies show that when oxytocin levels are just elevated a little bit, it's really hard to hold a grudge.
Let me tell you something. Nobody, and I mean nobody, who has been disloyal to a loyal person wins in the end. You just have to make sure that you don't think it's your responsibility to make the person who made you suffer.
You're not scared of losing. You're scared of people watching you lose. You're not scared of trying. You're scared of people watching you try. You're not scared to start with nothing. You're scared of people watching you start with nothing. But the truth, no one is watching as closely as you think. And even if they are, their opinions are not predictions of the future, just reflections of their own insecurities. So start now, fail fast, learn quicker, and keep moving. Their judgment doesn't define you unless you let it.
Darling.
Give me the advice. Let's go.
You cannot control or dictate the opinions and attitudes of other people. All you can do is live your best life, be a decent person, and live and speak with integrity. And then you know that you can go to sleep at night knowing that you did your best today. That's it. You can't please everybody.
No.
There will always be people who don't like your hair, don't like your face, don't like the sound of your voice, don't believe the things that you say.
Because we are who we are when nobody's watching. If you want to know who you really are, be on your own. Go somewhere on your own, on holiday or whatever, and that's who you are. If you're driving along and you throw the soda can out of the window of the car, that's who you really are. No one does that with kids in the back. Monster. But if you do that, if that's who you, it's interesting to kind of note that. You know, it's the difference between character and reputation. You know, you really know who you are. Reputation is what everyone else thinks about you.
I saw someone say this the other day. You can really tell how much someone loves themselves and respects themselves with how quickly they remove themselves from situations that don't serve them or that don't make them happy.
The one thing I want you to focus on this week is, can you move slower than the other people in the room? That's it. Just adjusting the speed limit on your body. So if you were standing in a swimming pool, how fast would your arms and legs move if you were underwater? And make that the speed limit for this entire week. That's all I want you to focus on. And that makes so many changes in people's mind because we change our bodies and we change how our emotions are feeling. And there's one thing that fear does. It speeds our body up. So if you see someone doing these rapid, jerky movements, you're seeing mostly fear or stress in their body.
If you want revenge for the bad things that have happened in your life, start with the version of you that hasn't lived up to your potential.
Imagine for a moment, at the beginning of your life, you were given a human and you were told, hey, Drew, you have one job. For the rest of your life, you have to take care of this human. Most of us have not realized that that's our job. We finish our parenting, we're We were raised by somebody else. We go out into the world and we start looking for someone else to show up for us. But we are our human. The only person who's truly here to take care of Matthew is me. And when you wake up in the morning and you say, what would I do today if I was taking care of my human? The answer is completely different to what we do most days when we beat ourselves up, when we put ourselves around toxic people or around people who don't treat us well. It's completely different. And what it makes us realize, and this is the big mistake, loving ourselves isn't a feeling, it's an approach. It's a job. You don't even have to like yourself today to love yourself. Liking yourself can come later with all of the ways that you make yourself proud and all of the things you do. Loving yourself today is your job, because we are our human.
People pleasers are the ones who gave up, not by conscious choice, but as a matter of survival, their authenticity in order to stay liked and accepted and attached to it. But then they carry that on in the rest of their lives, and they're at risk. I always worry for the very nice people.
Why is being nice a potential risk to one's health?
There's two places to be very nice from. One is just genuine human compassion and concern for others, but you're still grounded in yourself. That's great. But a lot of people are very nice because they are afraid not to be, because they weren't liked who they weren't loved for who they were. Being nice was their way of getting the love and the attention they needed. People always meet at the same level of emotional development or trauma resolution, so that water finding its own level. But when one person starts growing and the other doesn't, it becomes impossible. Either the person that does the growing gives it up and goes back to their previous selves, which is almost impossible, or the other person is challenged to start growing themselves, or they're gonna split. That's just what's gonna happen.
There's some people, when you met them, they had hope, and then eventually that hope just fucking leaches out of them, and they're not fun to be around anymore. And you try, and you try, and you try to encourage them, you try to give them suggestions, and they don't follow through. And at a certain point in time, you can't save a drowning man, because you're gonna fucking drown too, and you gotta just move on with your life. And I get it. I get when wives leave like that, I get when husbands leave like that, but a lot of people just marry people because they're hot. You know, they think they're attractive, and then you're with some fucking crazy person. Yeah. And you're trying to make life work with a crazy person, and now you have kids. Right. And now you're trying to make life with kids with this fucking crazy person that you really shouldn't have married in the first place. Yep. You didn't have anything in common with them other than you like their body. But that's the trap. You gotta, genuinely love someone. Love their personality. Love being around them. Love their kindness. And then you have to be someone that other people would love. Yeah. A lot of people want this perfect person in their life, and they're a mess.
One of the most powerful things that anyone can do, believe it or not, is to have someone each morning that they text good morning to. I know this is going to sound trivial, corny, and I'm happy to take the heat on this one. Find someone who you can communicate with each morning. Just a good morning text. Seriously, this is one of the most powerful things you can do to check in with another member of your species each morning. You don't have to have a conversation. You don't have to talk about what you're going to do each day. Knowing that someone else out there in the world cares about us each morning when we wake up makes us feel incredibly part of the tribe.
Once you're hurt as a child, you tend not to trust other people. So you could be in the middle of a crowd and be laughing and interacting, but still feel quite alone emotionally. Maybe you've had that feeling. Oh, yeah. And that emotional isolation itself then has effects on your body and on your mind. So the U.S. Surgeon General, Dr. Admiral Vivek Murthy, just issued a paper on loneliness in the United States. And there's an epidemic of loneliness. People are describing themselves as lonely in much higher numbers as they did 20, 40 years ago. No, loneliness is as much of a risk factor for physiological illness as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. Really? Yeah. So loneliness is both a manifestation of trauma and a cause of tremendous stress, which then undermines physiological and mental health.
Your children eventually will know exactly who you are. For an extended period of time, they're going to think of you as like a hero, as a god, as perfect, like your parent who knows everything. And then they're going to turn to a certain age and realize that you're human and there's a lot you don't know. And any like burdens you have, anything you try and hide from them, they see through it all because they see you all the time. There's no hiding anything from them. So you really have to like be on your best. You have to work on solve your problems, not be a passive aggressive asshole, not do whatever your faults are. You need to fix them so you don't pass them on to them, and they're going to see them eventually because you can't hide from them. You can put whatever you want on social media, you can be nice in public, do all these things, but at home, there's no hiding anything. They're going to know exactly who you are.
And if you're a good parent, you're going to frustrate your 2-year-old. And I don't mean deliberately. I just mean when they want a cookie before dinner, you're not going to give them a cookie. You're going to say, no cookie before dinner. If he's a healthy 2-year-old, they're going to throw a tantrum because they're frustrated. But then you read Jordan Peterson's book, and he says an angry child should be made to sit by themselves so they come back to normal. It's not normal for a kid to be angry. So the kid gets the message. If I'm going to experience my genuine self, I'm going to lose my attachment. Now guess what the kid's going to give up? The attachment or the authenticity? But only 100% of the time, it's the authenticity. Because without the attachment, they can't live. But then authenticity becomes a threat. So the kid becomes afraid of their true selves. Because if I'm being myself, they won't like me. They'll reject me. They'll even hurt me. And then, of course, the culture rewards you. Oh, you're such a good kid. You're always compliant. You're always so nice. You're always so pleasant. What a pretty little girl, always pretty. In other words, we praise kids for pleasing us. So the reward is the attachment, and we don't care about the child's inner experience. So then we give ourselves up just in order to be accepted. So it's that simple. And then you grow up and you're 30 or 40 and you're 50 saying, who the hell am I anyway? And whose life am I living? And why am I behaving in these ways?
A marker of good parenting is that your child doesn't have any wish to be famous.
Why is that?
Because it means that they have an internal system of validation rather than an external system of validation. They are not seeking to be known by strangers. They can be content to be known by a small circle of people that they actually know back. So it's two-way rather than a broadcast system.
If you find somebody who's genuinely talented, intellectually curious, hardworking, high integrity, mark my words, I guarantee you that 20 years from now, those people will be successful. And I wish I just invested in or stayed close to every single one of them. I can't think of a single exception.
If nothing is working out for you right now, that's good. You are being protected. If relationships are ending or no one is asking you out right now, that's good. You're being protected. If family members all of a sudden aren't calling you or people you invested in don't appreciate you, that's good. You're being protected. When something is not going your way or someone is canceling a date or canceling an appointment with you, pause, say, what a pleasure. This is good because you are being protected. And every day we pray for the Creator to guide us to our highest destiny. And when the Creator does get involved and remove the wrong energies from our life, we must be accepting of it. Have certainty. Bless the people who are disappointing you. Promise you, you are on the greatest path to miracles.
Be very clear on what it is that you want. Spend 5 minutes sitting down and visualizing those things being true, and then give gratitude for that. Like, see it, feel it in your body, taste it in your mouth, hear it in your ears. Completely immerse yourself in that for 5 minutes, longer if you can. And then just be so grateful for all of that. Essentially what you're doing is moving your brain from a fear state to a trust state. And that is the gateway to making these changes.
You must assume that you already are what you want to be, and then live by faith in this assumption. You don't need evidence of your senses. You have a tendency to believe that what your eyes and ears tell you is reality. But this is what we know by our senses. You know, it's like a millionth of a millimeter, and all that is unknown is in the invisible, in the imagination. You'll see it when you believe it, not the other way around. People will say, well, I'll believe it when I see it. It doesn't work that way. You'll see it when inside you have a knowing. And most of our attention is focused on, this is my beliefs and my disbeliefs about what is possible and what isn't possible are here. And it's an endless universe.
The person who is triggering you the most and upsetting you the most actually holds the greatest light and key to miracles in your life. They may be the one that is going to help you find your soulmate. Overcoming the upset that someone else is causing is what actually brings the light in your life. People only exist in our lives to be able to show us or trigger within us our own negativity, our fears, our lack, our worry, and our doubts. When that happens, realize that the Creator created this moment for you, not to blame them, not to block them, not to hate them, not to judge them, but to look inside yourself and transform what is dark to light. And when you do, they will change or they will disappear because you have now shifted to a new destiny.
If you said, okay, I'm going to work with my body, and I'm going to start breathing and I'm going to start feeling emotions that I do want to feel, the heart starts producing a very profound signal. It starts to produce an external magnetic field. It's measurable. So now you have a coherent brain, which means you can get very intentional, and you have a coherent heart, which means you can feel the emotions of your future before it happens. Somehow you have this broadcasting of this Wi-Fi signal, and the brain tends to be electrical in nature, so it sends out an electrical charge into the field. The heart is the magnetic charge. It's what draws things to us. You actually, by changing the way you think and the way you feel, you're changing the signal in the field. And if you're able to maintain that state for an extended period of time, I say something magical is going to happen in your life.